Just want to welcome everybody in here to the next chapter in schools. I'll be your host again today, Peter Young, founder of Corvessa Partners. Today, I'm joined by Daryl Weaver, president of Vancouver College in Vancouver, British Columbia, an independent school with more than a century of history and a deeply mission-driven commitment to forming young men into, quote, the better man. Today, we're going to dive into the intersection of culture, expectations, and innovation, how leaders like Daryl preserve what matters most while adapting to what today's families need and expect. Daryl, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to introduce yourself to the audience, anything that you want people to know on the front end, and then we'll dive into the conversation.
Sounds good, Peter. Yeah, you summarized our school very quickly, very well there. So thank you for doing that. But a little bit more about me. I've been now, I think this is year 34 in education, and I come from a science education background, but always very much values-based, partly because of my Catholic faith and upbringing, but also partly because my propensity towards social justice and not simply maintaining the status quo in society, but trying to improve things through education, improve the world, and of course doing that on an individual level with the students. So a lot of my my previous administrative work had to do with outreach specifically and social justice initiatives, and both in the local community and also internationally. So at the schools I've worked at, I've set up a number of opportunities for the kids to really go out and meet with what we call the other, the people that they would normally not interact with, and be it different cultures or different socioeconomic classes, and really learn that we're all essentially the same, and then we all have an obligation to each other to support each other. And that's been really the driving force, I would say, behind my career through a number of amazing schools, both internationally and here in Canada as well.
Yeah, no, fantastic. If you could do me the favor, do us the favor, sort of take us behind the curtain a little bit into Vancouver College. How would you describe sort of the school's culture? I think as a school leader, every school that I've led has a unique school culture, regardless if it's public, private, independent, national, right? I've had the privilege of being sort of in all those different types of schools. Take us behind the scenes a little bit and describe for us the school's culture.
Sure. Okay. I would say it's quite unique in the sense that it is, I think it's at a sweet spot right now. That's kind of a good balance between being innovative and progressive and forward looking, but also with a long and storied history. And so there's a deep sense of tradition, and a lot of that tradition comes from our successful athletic program, particularly in football. We play American football up here too. So, but also in basketball and a number of other athletic events. So sort of like if you're from Vancouver and you don't really know the culture of Vancouver College, probably what you've heard about us is in terms of our athletic prowess. But once you are in the community and connected to the community, then you realize the primacy of culture, for sure. People talk about that all the time, whether it be new parents or new students to the community, that once you are in, you feel that special vibe, that sense of belonging, that everybody has each other's back. I often talk about it even from an administrator point of view, that I've worked at other elite private schools where a student may get in trouble for something, and the parents automatically will bring in a lawyer to the first meeting, right? Whereas my first discipline incident that I had to deal with here a decade ago, I had a parent come in and say, "My kid did something wrong. Throw the book at him," right? That's why he's here, right? So in other words, people are bought into what you referenced earlier, that better man culture. They want their kids to become better human beings. So that's why they've put them here, because we have that common shared values that really helps. And then the last thing I would say about the culture is that you really see it when things go south in anybody's life within the community. So if there's a teacher or a parent or a student that faces illness or anything like that, the community just all comes together and gathers around, and that's the best sign of a healthy culture, I think.
Yeah, no, fantastic. I'm curious to know, in terms of the school, because I think this obviously comprises a lot of the culture. Are there certain sort of non-negotiables or tradition? You mentioned tradition, but sort of rituals, elements of the school that you don't foresee ever sort of giving up? Are there specific things that you can point to that when somebody says Vancouver College, or if you're telling somebody about it, that you would point to, for example?
I would say that the core thing is our values, which are encapsulated in what we call the essential elements of the school. There are 7 of them, and they come from the fact that we used to be a school run by the Christian Brothers, and they had a certain sort of approach to things. It was very definitely Catholic, but also very inclusive, open-minded, looking to help people that are on the margins of society, very socioeconomically diverse, unlike a lot of other independent schools around here. So they realize the Christian Brothers, unfortunately, are a dying breed. So they are moving out of the schools worldwide. There's a whole network now of us educators that work in these schools. And we have tried to kind of capture what was the essential, what made our school special, which people would always comment on when they would visit them. And it came down to these essential elements, these 7 essential elements that are, as you phrase it, they're non-negotiable, things that we will always have at our school, at our backbone. And we were kind of wondering, sometimes you think as an educator and administrator, you're thinking, these values, is it just us as administrators that see it? Do the parents really see it? And it was really driven home about 4 or 5 years ago. We did a very comprehensive new strategic plan and reached out to the community. One of the biggest reach outs apparently in Canadian schools, according to the provider that we used. And we had 5,000 people in the community give us survey feedback.
Yeah, that's great.
And one of the key questions was about, what do you see as the key values of our school? And so many of them referred to the essential elements and said, that's what we find special here. And that's that idea of really forming better men is what resonates for us.
Yeah, no, fantastic. You mentioned, Daryl, that you joined, I think, roughly 10 years ago. I guess my next question is, as we think about now families, right? As we think about families coming to Vancouver College, you said they buy in. What do you think has shifted, if anything, Daryl, when you think about what parents are looking for in a school, compared to maybe when you started 10 years ago? COVID obviously it probably has a lot to do with this answer, but in general, has sort of the attitude or perception shifted in terms of what parents are looking for, either from you all specifically as a school, or just parents that you've come across in general, talking about sort of what are they looking for in a school?
Yeah, curious. You mentioned COVID, and definitely that was a big learning experience for us. I still laugh about how we had a board meeting in 2019 and we talked about, do we even need bricks, mortar buildings anymore? We have so many tools, we can go virtual. And then, of course, we hit the pandemic and everybody was isolated on their machines. And we realized, oh, gosh, the most important thing about our school is that sense of community. So let's bring people together more, find more opportunities to celebrate and have special events. And that's exactly what we did. And people cherished, there always was a good sense of community here, I think. But it was taken for granted. After the pandemic, people definitely cherished it and appreciated it. And then new families coming in would look for it. I would say there's a few other shifts that have gone on. We've always been a good academic prep school, university prep school. Now I would say there's more questions around, the usual path going on to universities, and there's more openness around alternative pathways or becoming entrepreneurial younger. So we're having some interesting conversations here about how can we set up our academic programs a little more differently, perhaps have an entrepreneurial cohort or something like that, so that we can answer that interest. Yeah, and I guess technology is another piece. We are also talking about how even right after the pandemic, people were saying kids were so stressed, just let them have their phones, let them do it, let them just do what they need to do in terms of their mental health. But then we found that became, like a lot of schools, problematic. So a few years ago, we banned phones on the campus, and it's been transformational for the kids and much appreciated by the parents too, right? So, and again, that's just helps to build that community that we all value. So.
Yeah, and I'm just curious to know, this is separate but related. You mentioned thinking about traditional university prep. Are your students going mostly to Canadian schools after you all? U.S., international, some sort of combination thereof?
Yeah, a combination there. But compared to other schools that I've worked at in this area, though, we're a bit of a homer school. The boys, it's all boys, right? So the boys do love mom's cooking, I think. And we have an excellent university here at UBC. So I think our stats are something like 30 or 40% of them end up going to UBC, and then a fair chunk of them across Canada. Maybe about 15% go to the US and some to the UK, and some will have, even more exotic locales that they'll end up at.
I see. Yeah. No, I was in Toronto this past summer, and I think between the University of Toronto and UBC, they were saying they're mostly in sort of direct competition with each other. Is that correct, if I remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have no horse in the race, by the way. I'm just recollecting on my own
Okay.
personal experience this summer. Yeah, I'm not asking you to step into that.
Happy to always. I mean, we support the Blue Jays here, but other than that Toronto's our rival for sure. They
Yeah,
can they
no,
can
okay. I
they can
like
keep
it.
their
I
cold
like it.
weather.
So you don't support the Maple Leafs, I take it. No, okay, good.
That's
Want to
the
make
road too
just want to make
far.
sure we're clear. So when people watch this from Vancouver, they'll know for sure that
Yeah,
Daryl is a Canuck fan through and through.
100%. Since the 1980s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Caps fan, so there you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So thank you. Yeah, so you were talking earlier about some of the non-negotiables, what parents are looking for in the school. Do you all at Vancouver College feel a sense to sort of look around you? I spoke to a school leader the other day who says things are always changing around us in other schools. Do you ever feel like you get caught up in sort of the rat race in terms of what are other schools doing? Let's look out there. Should we change? Should we add this, take this away? Or do you all feel pretty comfortable and confident in sort of the model that you have?
Yeah, that's a good question. As you ask it, I think that we have a fairly healthy balance in terms of always looking around us and doing research and asking tough questions about how can we be better, but at the same time resisting the shiny baubles, right? So and I think the most obvious example of that now is actually AI. I think
Yep.
that's the one that we're being intentionally cautious about, unlike a lot of our other comparable schools around here that have dived in all over the place and added this, that, and the other in terms of their even the apps that are available to the students. We're taking more of a long-term view. We're
Hmm.
working actually with Harvey Mudd, a prof from Harvey Mudd College in California. He's going to come up and talk about the interface between technology and education from a philosophical point of view,
Oh,
so
neat.
that so that the teachers really are thinking about what is the advantage or disadvantages of using AI in a particular classroom context. So
Right.
we're intentionally taking it slow in this case. And I laugh because I say, I don't know, maybe I'm getting older. I've always been a progressive educator, but now I'm turning into a curmudgeon. But I've
Right.
said to the school, let's to the staff, let's just take our time to be sure that we're doing things the right way rather than just jumping in because it's all anyone's ever talking about these days.
For sure. And so let me ask you the most logical next question. So what is the current state of quote, I guess, technology at Vancouver College? Not Chrome, beyond Chromebooks, but in general, what do you all, how are you utilizing it, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, on a longer term basis?
Yeah, so definitely, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for with this, but the kids use technology in every class every day. They have their Chromebooks. Like I said,
Right.
we don't have them bringing their own devices in. Teachers are leveraging are leveraging technology all the time in their classrooms, but for the most part, AI sparingly and with a lot of discretion. So yeah, we're careful not to be Luddites, but it's been really interesting, all the AI conversations. I think there's like a lot of post-secondary institutions, there's a lot of conversations going on around actually writing things down by hand has some benefits. Let's explore that, right? And just even in terms of the integrity of the work.
Yeah, no, again, I'm here in the DC area. My daughter's a sophomore in high school, and the other day she asked me, well, just to give you an idea for us as parents, we still have to approve any app that she wants to download on her phone.
Okay.
But their school asked every student to download the Blue Book app, I guess, because I
Okay.
think you're right. They're making a conscious effort shift to ensure that students are, like you said, quote, writing things down, and so they're moving maybe I won't say reverting back, but shifting maybe back to this idea of blue books for
Mm,
exams, tests, whatever it may be, in an
right.
effort to do exactly what you just said, right? To ensure students are writing things down and not just, copy pasting. Oh, that's my research. I'm done. Whatever it may be. So,
Right, right, right. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned out of this whole experience in terms of resilience and integrity and doing the value of doing the hard work instead of looking for
right.
the easy shortcut. And that tension with, oh, but there is a more efficient way. Very, very interesting conversations
Yeah,
going
no,
on.
for sure. Curious to know, again, as you sit here today, you're obviously forward thinking, okay, the next couple of years in general, but somebody walks into your office, maybe a prospective parent says, all right, Dare, what are the two or three things right now sort of you're most proud of or that you would point to as successes at Vancouver, and maybe what are the one or two areas that you continue to put attention towards? We can call them a challenge, whatever it may be, but sort of the one or two things that you're putting attention to as maybe an area of improvement.
Well, the thing I'm most proud of is our community, is the relationships. And again, like we learned through the pandemic, we've got to make sure that we hold on to that and nurture it and make sure that we don't take it for granted. So that will be definitely a continuing theme here in terms of we're looking at doing a refresh of our strategic plan, so making sure that goes there. Things that I worry about, I see as challenges. We are in one of the most expensive cities in the world, and we are hiring teachers. Teachers are not the highest paid vocation. So we need to find ways to continue. We've been so blessed. We have amazing teachers here. We're going to need to find ways to continue to not just attract, but retain teachers with young families. So we're exploring ideas around staff housing, staff benefits. Are there ways that we can do that? Because we're actually, just by an accident of history being so old, we're in one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Vancouver itself.
Oh, wow.
So it's definitely both students and staff are commuting for the most part a fair distance. Yeah.
So then what you do, Daryl, is you sell the campus for, let's say $600 million. You take that, you go build a new campus somewhere else. And then, again, as a school, have, let's say, $150 million endowment to start the school with, right? So you're in a good spot there.
That's true. Interesting. In terms of tradition, though, I think the alumni would be happy.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Or you have to double down and say, all right, so sorry, we live, our school's in the most expensive neighborhood. We need you to give more.
That's right. That's
right.
right.
I think it'd be an interesting question. Which one would they like least, right? Because both may not be so attractive to alumni. Give more money, or we're going to sell and move to a different place.
Well, I think I confidently predict that they would say we'll give more money if you'll
give
stay.
More to keep it there. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of alumni passion for sure.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, and I'll have to ask. I have a friend from undergraduate. I went to Vanderbilt who. His wife is from Vancouver, and they go up there all the time. And so I'll be interested to talk to him offline in terms of, does she know about Vancouver College? I'm sure they do. So I'll just be interested to learn more about from them. Daryl, just while we have the last couple of minutes here, I always give the guest the opportunity to say, anything else that you want to say about yourself, the school. How can somebody get in touch with you and or the school? Again, if they were to watch this. And then the second thing I'll do is I'll just thank you for your time and wish you well.
Okay. Well, thank you, Peter. Yeah, I'm happy to connect with like-minded progressive educators. We're always looking for good teachers. We do literally hire from all over the world. So if anyone is interested in connecting with both a vibrant and progressive type of school community, then they can reach out to me. So my email is dweaver@vancouvercollege.ca, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. It's been fun talking to you, Peter, and connecting with you. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you again. I've enjoyed our conversation. I'll be in touch, like I said, and enjoy your weekend, sir.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.